Let's talk about Impact. It opened with the same open as every fucking Impact in history. The main event Mafia came out to talk. Mm-hmm. Kurt did a promo talking about Injustice last week. Foley won the TNA Legends title. Allegedly, he said. And by the way, the great injustice was the British Invasion allegedly winning the IWGP titles, which New Japan is upset about. What a shocker. Did I not ask that question last week?
I believe we did.
Did I not say, what is New Japan thinking about this? Mm-hmm. They're thinking about this. What the fuck's going on? Why are our titles changing on this fucking show in this kind of tables match? Anyway, he said he talked to the board of directors about the Legends title match. They thought it was a sham, but they agreed to let the outcome stand if Nash got a rematch at the pay-per-view. We have to pay everybody for Kevin Nash versus Mick Foley.
Diesel versus Cactus Jack in 2009.
And he called out World Elite, the Evil Foreigners, as their new allies. It's the NWO black and white, basically. Eric did this long-ass promo, and it was all right, I guess, but the whole thing was kind of boring. I got bored listening to Eric Young be a bad guy. And that was that.
He talked for a long time. He was rambling on about anti-American this and this whole nation that. Meanwhile, he's surrounded by Americans who are theoretically higher on the totem pole than he.
Yeah, of course.
That was odd.
Very little thought goes into this show. Actually, too much thought goes into this show. And not enough.
I did think it was funny that Kurt was terribly upset that Lashley was not the legal man last week. He interfered because he did not start the match. Then he came in late and started running wild without a tag. Yeah. Therefore, that should have been...
Sure.
There should have been no contest.
Basically, he said, this match had a fuck finish here on Impact. I am upset about that.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen in every single match.
Then Lauren interviewed Daniels backstage and noted that he was wrestling Eric later, but Eric had Bashir and Kiyoshi as backup. So Sabin and Shelley came into frame and started joking that they were looking into a TV camera, which they hadn't seen in a long time. Have they really been off TV that long?
Like 2 weeks, I believe.
So they're upset about not being on TV, and Daniels chewed them out, told them to stop being fools. Their spots were being taken by guys who were actually making a difference, that being the Evil Foreigners. And so he said the three of them needed to team up tonight to take them out. So then we got Daniels versus Young. And the Guns did absolutely nothing to help. They scratched their balls, they read magazines, they didn't pay any attention whatsoever. So, of course, Daniels gets beaten after interference from the Foreigners. And then the Foreigners beat up the Guns, and they immediately cut away.
Yeah.
This played into the show later, but they cared so little about it that they just immediately cut away.
They hit
it's a good show, by the way, everybody.
They hit a baseball slide, or all two baseball slide drop kicks, and took out the Guns, and this apparently killed them. Yeah. Rendered them inert and helpless. The match was inoffensive and short, I guess. Booking was complicated and hard to pay attention to. Somewhere in here, they had a commercial for their video vault, which I guess is where an online thing where you can...
If you want to see more TNA.
That's what it is. That's the appeal. Not enough TNA for you. But they aired a clip here. There was a body jumping off the stage and putting Abyss through a table. And I thought, I remember that. Who did that? That was Jeff Hardy. Then it occurred to me. They just showed me a clip of the reigning SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion on their show doing something cool. Mm-hmm. If you didn't know that, you would have no idea this was Jeff Hardy.
Of course not.
There was no graphic. Didn't put Jeff effing Hardy on our show. There was no close-up clip of his face. No.
Of course
just
not.
A silhouette.
Then we had an awesome Kurt Angle commercial for Stacker 2.
These are the highlights we seek out.
This guy, the more acting he does, the worse he gets as an actor. He is explaining that, well, basically, when he takes Stacker 2, his pyro explodes, and then he has great matches. So, for those of you wondering, that's how it's done. We had Lauren interviewing Team 3D and Beer Money. They are teaming up to take on the Evil Foreigners. They're all pissed off at Eric Young. I guess these promos were good, but it's impossible for me to take seriously the entire roster being mad at Eric Young.
Yeah, it's good that they are trying to put anyone, in a higher position than they have been. It's going to take time.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
We will see how it goes.
Sure.
And then we had 3D Appall to the tag title change, and yeah. So we had Beer Money and Team 3D against the British Invasion, Steiner, and Booker in an 8-man. They fucking put Rob Terry in the ring this week.
Yeah.
Luckily, he did almost nothing.
Yeah.
And then all hell broke loose. We had all the Evil Foreigners running out, then Daniels, then the Guns, who are now mad at the Foreigners because they got beat up and it was cut away very quickly. And then the entire Mafia, and then Foley, and then Sting. Everybody brawl all over the building. And, I mean, literally, this was like, they were portraying like this was a riot. Like, there were guys that ended up outside, there was a brawl in the locker room, there was a brawl at ringside, there were meteors falling from the sky, there was fire coming out of lakes. And
dogs and cats living together.
Meanwhile, the match is still going on.
Yes. There was still a contest to be decided, and once the majority of the bodies ended up away from the ringside area, the same 8 guys kept fighting, and Rob Terry got the win. How did he win? Oh, that's right. So somebody went up top, I believe one of the Beer Money dudes, and Tracy Brooks shoved him off, and Rob Terry pinned him.
By the way, I can't believe you. I was going to no-sell your Ghostbusters line, but it made me sweat so much I had to bring it up here. I was appalled that you did such a thing.
Just now?
We bitched at John Cena for using that fucking line like 2 weeks ago. So didn't you bring it up on this show? It's terrible.
I didn't remember John Cena using it.
He did. It was horrible. It was so cheesy.
Well, there you go. But anyway, so Rob Terry got the pin here, and after dozens and dozens of bodies had been involved in this mess, Mike TNA informs us that Rob Terry has won due to Tracy's interference.
Yeah. Never saw Tracy.
Exactly what he said.
So, anyway, after that, we had Riot, and they went to commercial. They came back. There was a brawl all over the building. Cameraman outside, serious equilibrium problems. Impossible to watch.
It was the worst camera work I've ever seen.
But you could not help but watch. And there were folks from Universal Studios lining up to watch this idiocy.
Well, okay, that sounds better than it really is. There was a crowd of people staring at this mess, clearly thinking, what the fuck is this bullshit? They were not going crazy. They were not excited for it. They just could not tear their eyes away.
And the best part of this whole thing was, during this wild, insane brawl, the timekeeper kept ringing the bell, like it might make the whole thing stop. Finally, cops arrived, and as soon as the cops arrived, they cut to commercial. And when they came back, TNA said, "We have seen it all. This was more than we even saw at, quote, the height of the NWO." And then it was back to the show.
Time for another match. This giant brawl that involved everyone on the roster and necessitated the police arriving too late to ensure the peace. It ruined a segment.
Okay, the brawl itself was like, it was a pretty good brawl. Like, I've seen some bad, shitty brawls, and this was not one of them. It was pretty good. But, of course, the questions remain. Why do we have a full-scale riot in the middle of Impact?
Don't know.
Why did all of a sudden everybody in the entire locker room start fighting each other?
Don't know.
I have no earthly idea. So, who got arrested? What happened when the cops showed up? And why didn't this even just close the show?
That is the best question of all.
They just went right back to wrestling.
Things got calmed down.
Like the biggest brawl in wrestling history. This was bigger than the peak of the NWO. The biggest brawl in wrestling history involving an entire locker room, and then they just went right back to the women having a match.
Now, it's been many years since I've watched the NWO, but as I recall, I'm guessing the incident he's referring to, there's a bit where Hall and Nash ran wild. It was the bit where Ray went headfirst into the trailer. And as I recall, after this heinous attack, nothing happened in that show for like 40 minutes.
Well,
they
of course not.
They dealt with the aftermath.
Yeah.
It was a giant event that they were unprepared for and did not know how to deal with. TNA has a 23-man riot that, like I say, it takes up one segment, and then they go right back to action that nothing has happened. They don't care. We
had Alyssa Flash and Tracy against Taylor Wilde and Sarita. I guarantee this is a bigger quarter than the actual brawl. They call Alyssa, by the way, the Future Legend, and the reason they call her that is because she won the Future Legend Award at the Cauliflower Alley Club several years back.
How creative.
As cheerleader Melissa. So why is she not cheerleader Melissa?
Because she's Alyssa Flash.
Taylor and Tracy had some awesome high spots. Sarita tagged in and did some cool stuff with Alyssa. Hit a big dive. I had forgotten Tracy could work. Sarita got a hot tag, ran wild. This was her best showing by far. She tried a wacky lucha submission. It failed, and so she ended up rolling up Alyssa with a wacky lucha small package for the pin. And this was the most fun match on Impact in a long-ass time.
Indeed.
And I quite enjoyed it.
Indeed. All four participants looked good. And, yes, we saw Sarita's debut where she mostly got beat up and they got a fluke win. And then she was in the Battle Royal where she was just one of the nameless girls tossed out. And it was looking bad for her. And then she came in here, she looked good, and she hit a cool move and got the win. So, yay, Sarita.
2 thumbs up.
Indeed.
And then the heels jumped him and beat him up to get their heat back, which was completely unnecessary, but it's Impact. Who cares? We have TNA, Tara, Awesome Kong, ODB, and Angelina are having a match next week. So Lauren interviewed Angelina about it. And she's appalled that Cody kissed her last week. And they're going to take matters in their own hands. And get this, everybody. It's Velvet versus ODB for the title at the pay-per-view. So, Velvet? Is it Velvet or is it Angelina? It's Angelina.
Angelina.
So Angelina versus ODB for the title of the pay-per-view. Okay, so, why do you announce that match and then the next week you've got a 4-way with Angelina, ODB, Tara, and Awesome Kong?
Because they're dumb.
Don't you do the 4-way first to determine who challenges Angelina?
They're dumb.
All right.
They're just dumb. All I know is that somewhere in this promo, Angelina declared, this is a direct quote, "I ain't scared."
Yeah.
She's awesome.
They also apparently announced ODB and Cody against Velvet and Angelina for the pay-per-view, but then later they announced it was just Angelina versus ODB with Velvet and Cody in the corners.
Yeah.
These guys are so unclear in everything they do.
I swore, and I watched the same promo you did, and I could have sworn she literally said it would be a tag with Cody in there with the girls. Which, by the way,
everybody,
I would be fine with that.
This is all taped out of order. Okay, they tape 4 weeks or 3 weeks of TV in a random order, and then they have to put this shit together into a show. It's very likely that there are screw-ups galore, and they're hidden by video packages, or in this case, maybe they just were supposed to forget what we just heard 10 seconds ago. Very likely. So, then we had Hernandez showing up. Hernandez, everyone, an hour and 15 minutes late to his job. Like nothing happened. I guess they do that with the stars. Except for, of course, the Main Event Mafia that have to open up every show. But if you're a star, you just show up late for work, and that makes you cool. But anyway, he shows up, and Billy Gunn is cleaning up the mess from the brawl. And Billy's bitching about it. It's his job.
Right.
I realize I bitch about Impact, and people will say it's my job. But, yeah, this was goofy.
It's his job to clean stuff up, but his job would have been easier had there not been a riot.
I see. My job would be easier if I didn't have to watch this show.
So we bitch.
AJ did a promo about how it was like they were in an insane asylum right now. Right now. Not for the last 7 years or anything. And he swore to God that a meteor could hit the Earth, it would not take his focus off Matt Morgan. Liar.
You don't think so?
If a meteor hit the Earth, his focus would be taken off Matt Morgan. Guarantee.
And placed on the meteor.
Sit-down interview with TNA and Hernandez. God bless Hernandez. Not a good interview.
No?
Not a good interview at all. I will say this. He showed some wacky charisma. Happy Mexican here on the show. That's what he showed.
That's the best way to put it.
His actual speaking, not the best.
Not the best. And the story they told was about
I'm glad you know.
Huh?
I'm glad you know.
About the story?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck the story was they were trying to tell.
The story they told here was that years ago when Hernandez was in LAX, Conan tried to burn an American flag. Don't remember this, but okay. Hernandez says, yeah, my dad was in the Army for 30 years, and he wasn't too happy about that, and we didn't talk to each other for a while, and we really still don't talk to each other very much. What a horrible promo! You lost.
His dad still can't watch Impact, he says.
Join
the club, Pops!
Still can't watch Impact. You lost touch with your father because of a stupid angle on this stupid show. That's tragic.
I do love that their team name is LAX. Their finish is like the border toss. There are these two minorities, but Hernandez reveals his dad was like a U.S. soldier. Does that kind of kill the gimmick? Sort of,
yes.
Maybe it's just me. Then Hernandez, then Homicide did a promo. They asked him what he thought about what his partner just said. He blew it off to talk about his title. And are Homicide and Hernandez at odds now? If so, why? And if not, what is going on?
Apparently, yes, and I don't know. I think I got that right.
Huh.
They're apparently at odds, and I don't know why. Hernandez came back last week, and they just started shouting at each other for no reason. So, Homicide started ranting and screaming here about Samoa Joe. Said, Hernandez beat you, and I'm going to hurt you.
LAX stands for Latin American Exchange.
Yeah.
His father's a U.S. soldier?
Of Latin American descent. They showed him.
All right.
He was very not white.
Okay.
So,
all right.
There are stupider gimmicks than this.
Well, that's true. Like in fact, another soldier gimmick. The guy with the shitty haircut. What's his name? Rhino's pal.
Neil.
Jesse Neal.
Yeah.
They do not know how to do soldiers, I guess.
I guess not. But Homicide was talking here about Joe, and they're doing Joe versus Homicide for the X title at the pay-per-view. Joe apparently got this title shot by being beaten clean by Hernandez. That is how you get an X title shot these days. Mm-hmm. You lose clean.
Then we had, D'Angelo Dinero is coming, who is Elijah Burke. I don't know how he got us. I don't know.
Spanish name?
I don't know. I just don't know, okay, everybody? I just don't know what's going on.
He's the Pope, apparently.
Matt Morgan and AJ Styles. Yeah, he's the Pope. The Pope D'Angelo Dinero.
Should it be the Pope like John Paul?
I don't know. I just never know what's going on. We had Homicide and Hernandez. Oh, no. Matt Morgan and AJ Styles, second match of the best of three. AJ has solved the puzzle of Matt Morgan. This is his second good match in a row. It was shorter than last week, maybe better for what it was. And this, I guess, maybe either the first or second best Matt Morgan match I've ever seen. Again.
I was in the bathroom for part of this, but from what I saw, it looked pretty good. And the best part was they actually built off the finish of last week. AJ went for his 450, but Morgan saw it coming and moved, and they went to the finish from there. So there actually is a storyline in this series. So this is good stuff.
Angle claimed he was leaving, so of course he was coming back. And then Abyss was backstage, scared about the $50,000 bounty on his head. And Creed, who was a babyface, tried to collect. And we got a bad brawl.
If you're afraid of people trying to collect a bounty, perhaps you should stay away from the building.
No, he was not booked. Of course he's going to be there.
He was not booked. He had to go hide in the shadows. Yeah.
Brutus Magnus against Sting. I will say that for the biggest match of his career, Magnus did not do too bad in here. It was very short, mind you. In fact, he briefly got heat and they went to commercial. When they came back, he was almost immediately in the Scorpion for the submission.
Never seen that before.
What the hell can you do? But anyway, the match was a throwaway match, but it was not
fine.
horrible. And then World Elite hit the ring, attacked Sting. Lashley and Foley hit the ring to make the save. Well, they started at the same time. It took Foley like 10 times as long to hit the ring. But anyway, huge brawl. And the Mafia came out to beat up the good guys, and they were acting like there was no one else to make the save. All of the stars had come out. Who could possibly be left? And ended up with Hernandez and his chain making the save. So I guess they're now trying to push him as one of the tippy-top guys here. So they're trying to push some new guys. Got to give them credit. I will say, Vince Russo is a horrible booker. I mean, he's fucking horrible. It is documented over the course of a decade or more. But he always does try to push new guys. He fails in the end every time.
True.
Every time. But he tries to get new guys over. So I got to give him credit for that. But the only other thing I need to mention about this show is that during the commercial breaks, there were commercials for the King of the Cage, which is coming to Everett, Washington on August 15th. And I think the Comcast Center or something like that. I forget the building. But it's coming to Everett, Washington, King of the Cage. And TNA came here several months back. TNA didn't even announce they were coming to Seattle on their own fucking show. Nor did they buy any localized ads.
Of course not.
King of the Cage has already bought localized ads for their show.
Yeah.
I will bet you anything they'll have localized ads on Raw for the King of the Cage show. And already at the my jiu-jitsu school, I've already seen posters and these little flyer cards there. So they're actually trying to promote a fucking show. Amazing in 2009. So I thought I would throw that out there, that King of the Cage has more of a clue than these idiots do about promoting events. So There you go. To the back! Vinny's here to recap the TNA pay-per-view. And the story of the TNA pay-per-view obviously was, first off, would Kurt Angle arrive? And second off, would Kurt Angle be punished in some way for all of the bullshit that went on this weekend? And the answer is yes and no. He arrived at the pay-per-view, he worked the main event, and then he proceeded to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. So Kurt Angle is still the TNA champion, and what the hell can you say? Welcome to TNA, everybody. Welcome to TNA.
I think it's quite fitting that the first match of the show had the word asylum in it.
Yeah.
It's the usual. It's nothing ever changes. Same bullshit. Nothing that. For every positive step they take forward, they take 2 steps backward. They're running
2 steps? This was a good 10 steps backward this weekend.
On a quite negative, broken treadmill at this point.
The guy is accused of stalking a woman, driving on a suspended license, possession of human growth hormone. Now, obviously, he has not gone before a judge yet, and his attorney has released a statement saying this is all bullshit and he has done nothing wrong. But, Jesus Christ. I mean, you got to do something. I mean, can't you take the title off of him now until this whole situation is settled? I mean, does he have to have the championship? I mean, he's supposedly got a court date on Tuesday. There's a taping on Tuesday.
Yes.
What happens if he's unavailable for the taping?
Don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Or they tape 3 weeks of TV, and in the intervening time, he fucks up again and gets arrested again.
Well, they're taping Monday and Tuesday, and then they're taping in 2 weeks. They'll do another Monday, Tuesday. So they're not doing the entire month in the next 2 days as they've done in the past. But still, he's looking to be gone for at least one of them, unless he gets like an early morning court date and then flies out to Orlando. So, I don't know. I guess we shall see what happens. But yes, he retained the title. So for those of you wondering if TNA was going to take some sort of action, they took action all right. They
endorsed it.
They put him over.
Yeah.
Show opened with I will say this, the pay-per-view, I guess last month's show, it was so fucking horrible. And the lineup for this show was on paper so awful that I had very, very low expectations going in, and as a result, this greatly exceeded them.
Sure.
This was a much better pay-per-view than I was expecting. There was one really, really good match, and a couple of matches that were probably better than you would think, and certainly nothing to the level of the women's match from last month. So they cannot help
Nor will there ever be again.
Cannot help but have a better pay-per-view. And the people that there were people in TNA that knew this show was not going to be good, but they said that they knew this one would be bad, but next month's would be good. So stands to reason that if they thought next month's show was going to be good and this one was better than you would think, maybe next month's show is actually going to be really good. I guess we shall see.
We'll worry about that when we get there.
But anyway, it opened up with the Spanish announcers talking, and then the U.S. announcers talking, and then we could hear them both talking over each other. So yes, this place is literally the second coming of WCW, a train wreck of idiocy at points.
It's very rinky-dink.
And later we actually saw one of the championship matches. They missed the finish, because the director, as we've been talking about for 7 years now, has no earthly idea what he's doing.
No.
Escape the Cage, Motor City Machine Guns, Amazing Red, Daniels, Creed, Jay Lethal, Suicide, and the debuting Pope D'Angelo De Niro, who is the former Elijah Burke. And he came out with elaborate braids, gear, a trench coat. He actually looked like a star.
I like his bejeweled breathing mask.
Yeah, and the people reacted to him like he was a star. The Machine Guns looked awesome. Daniels looked awesome. Red looked awesome. And D'Angelo looked pretty damn good. Everybody else, they looked all right. There were some cool spots, but really this probably would have been better as a tag team match, for example, or a six-man. Instead, it was that match where they did every single move you could possibly do. It was really good. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. Maybe you could even give it 4. But the reason I wasn't really... I can't say I wasn't blown away by it, but the reason I can't really rate any higher is because we've seen matches like this a million times. It never means anything for anybody involved. Nobody ever really gets elevated. And I don't think there was one thing in this match I'd never seen before, which was Red doing a combination. He went for a Shining Wizard, but did a Frankensteiner instead, but the guy was on his knees, so instead of doing a roll, he just smashed his head on the ground. That was really cool. Everything else, I think, was mostly stuff that we'd seen at some point or another. Fans were into the Machine Guns. Fans were into the match. Suicide. The big spot at the end was, and this also annoyed me, D'Angelo De Niro had a chance to win, but instead he went back in and beat up Suicide some more, and that allowed Daniels to get out and win. So in his very first match, they booked him as an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know. It's going to lead to Samoa Joe and Chris Daniels next month, which should be great. But at the same time, why debut a guy and then have him come across like an idiot? Why couldn't they have just debuted him in a match with AJ Styles and had him win or something like that?
Because they're TNA and they can never do anything right. It seems very simple. You debut a guy, you have him win his first match. I think that's how it goes in every other company on Earth when you want a guy to debut with any kind of impact. TNA throws him in there with 7 other dudes, has him be just one of the rabble doing a bunch of spots that were cool, but will be forgotten in minutes, and then he does not win. He has a personal vendetta for some reason against Suicide. So, yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff. My favorite was actually, for pure simplicity, Daniels and the Pope were fighting on the top rope, and Daniels went for a punch, and the Pope dodged, and Daniels punched the cage and sold his hand, and then Pope just hit his spear from there to the mat. Just a nice, easy, simple thing, but he punched the cage, and it hurt, and that was cool. So, yeah.
All the fucking spots in this match.
I'm very easy to please sometimes. There was a million spots of guys flying through the air and catching each other, and the problem was there were, I think, 8 dudes in the match, and there was a cage around the ring, so they couldn't roll out of the ring and get out of the way. So every single move, guys were tripping over each other or falling on each other or catching guys. I'm not sure they're supposed to be part of the spot at all. And I was gravely concerned for everyone's safety.
The other thing, also typical TNA, they had a red cage that was kind of like the old WWE blue bar cage, the thick bars, except these red bars were about 5 times as thick as the WWE bars.
Yes.
So except for the cameras that were actually positioned to look through the bars, whenever they showed like a longer shot, you couldn't see a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So
there was a lot of stuff here we could not see. There was a point where Creed jumped off the cage, and I don't know what happened to him. There's a point where the fans started chanting, "He's amazing." I assume it read. I don't know why. And it was partly the cage, partly the crappy director, and partly the fact there were just 8 dudes doing stuff and no one could keep track of it all.
Then Daniels,
I did give him 3.5 stars, though, and I agree it could be higher.
Daniels did a promo talking about how he'd faced a winner of Joe and Homicide and said he hoped it would be Joe, but he'd be fine facing Homicide, and sent a shout-out to AJ Styles, who was sitting at home not working this pay-per-view. Yes. And by the way, he was wearing eyeliner. I don't know why. They're back to calling the IWGP tag belts they're calling them the IWGP instead of the New Japan. I guess they've, I don't know what happened. Maybe that's part of New Japan.
Yes, maybe that's the insisted.
Yeah.
We will recognize the title change if you call them by the correct name.
They plugged the pay-per-view, noted the women's title was up for grabs in the tag match. For those of you listening to the Observer Live show, I was running down the show, and I was talking about how this was going to be a tag match with Angelina and Velvet against Cody Deaner and ODB. And we started getting emails from people saying the TNA website is listing this as Angelina versus ODB. And I thought, that's odd. And then got another one saying, now PW Insider is confirming it's just a singles match. And I thought, that's odd.
Well,
as of Friday, it was a tag match, unless they've changed it. Anyway, it turns out that TNA apparently had no idea what they were doing and did not bother changing the match on the website, so we ended up getting something different.
I was late for this show in part because I was finishing watching Impact, and on Impact, I left with the impression it was going to be a singles match as well.
Well, there you go.
So they don't know anything.
No, of course not. So we had Abyss and Jethro Holiday. Yes, Jethro Holiday collecting the $50,000 bounty, or attempting to. This was one of those matches where sometimes I just, for my own health and safety and my blood pressure, I just stop watching. This was one of them. Apparently this was like a match where you could bring weapons. And I didn't know this. First they just started doing a wrestling match, and then the next thing you know, Jethro has got a baton. And that's when the announcers say, this is a match where you can bring weapons. So Jethro used the baton for a second and then started doing wrestling holds, and I thought, okay, there's $50,000 on the line. Why did you not bring a chainsaw, an axe, a firearm? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you bring a weapon, a baseball bat, something to beat the shit out of this guy? No, he fucking brought a baton, and then he started doing wrestling holds. So This made so little sense to me that I just stopped caring. So to fast forward to the finish, Abyss won, and it gets no rating.
That's totally fair. I did watch the match. It was generally very average. There was one really stupid spot where they tried to do the bit where Abyss tried to jump on Jethro with a chair on him, but Jethro turned the chair sideways, and so Abyss got crotched. The only problem is Jethro turned this chair about a minute too early, so it was already sideways as Abyss was running, and then he just leapt and planted his scrotum onto this chair like a complete fool. So that would take it down. However, it was redeemed somewhat when Jethro took a mammoth backdrop. So I figured that kind of redeemed it. So I give it 2 stars. It was a wrestling match. There was stupidity involved. There was some decent action. Jethro Holiday, you are wrestling on national pay-per-view television. Shave your armpits.
Jethro Holiday also got yelled at by Stevie afterwards, and so he punched Stevie, who took a bump exactly the way Shawn Michaels did when Mike fucking Tyson punched him in 1989.
Stevie took this. Stevie was actually
Jethro
great here.
Holiday really need to get his heat back? What happened?
Well,
here?
there's a point here where
Are they going to have a match?
Jethro Holiday got to kick out of a chokeslam.
Sure.
Why? Why are they doing big near falls in the second match in the show, and why is Jethro Holiday kicking out of a chokeslam? I don't know. But I will say Stevie's bump at the end of this match was actually the physical highlight of the entire thing.
By the way, I've got a note here that ovwrestling.com, where Ohio Valley is streaming their television, it's now free. If you go to Ohio Valley Wrestling's website, ovwrestling.com, you can stream their television show now. And Shiloh Mount, who Buddy and I trained at the Buddy Wayne Wrestling Academy.
Now it's Buddy and you?
It was.
Okay.
It was me and Buddy. This was before I gave up on the thing. We trained him. Actually, I would say mostly me, because I was the one that always had to get in there and have matches with him. Anyway, he's in the opening match on the new TV.
Wow.
So, there you go.
Again, do you know against who?
No. He just says, I'm the first match on the first show that they have on there, so check it out.
Everyone go check it out. Shiloh Mount's very good.
That's right. And he's coming back soon, and I will not be wrestling him ever again. I'm done with this fucking business, I've decided. Anyway, we had Borash interviewing Angle, and no mention whatsoever of arrest, no mention of anything. Angle was totally normal, and he had a great line where he said that Morgan did not think before he spoke. Very rich.
He's a talented man, this Angle fellow.
Said he'd talk with him before the end of the night, and Morgan would be thinking differently. Hernandez and Rob Terry.
Or, as he is now known, Big Rob.
Big Rob.
That's what the graphic said, everyone. Big Rob.
Speaking of Ohio Valley, Jim Cornette booked this match and put it together. So
explains what?
What it was Hernandez cutting a promo about how he was very mad that Terry had stolen his briefcase. It was like breaking into his house, he said, and stealing his personal property. So he said Terry could either turn it over and leave peacefully, or he was going to beat the shit out of him. So the invasion hit the ring. Hernandez beat them both up, and then he gave Terry a shoulder tackle and pinned him. It was exactly as it should have been.
Yes.
It was perfect. No complaints.
Now this gets a no rating, but for what it was awesome. Part of Hernandez's promo was pointing out that while he called himself Super Mex, he was also hailed from Houston, Texas. He had family in both nations. He was a part of both nations. These the people here were his family, and thus that's what led to them coming to his house and stealing the briefcase. So it was a fine babyface promo. He beat up 3 men and got his briefcase back, so put him over, and we did not have to watch Rob Terry wrestle a singles match, which I'm kind of disappointed in a weird way.
I'm not. Beer Money and did an interview with Lauren, talked about their IWGP tag match, and said they had been too soft in the last few months. It was time to beat ass again.
I loved it. Robert Roode was saying he was tired of showing emotions, and as he was saying this, he was displaying anger and wrath, which are emotions.
Now, by the way, as of actually probably a couple of days ago, Friday, I believe, this was supposed to be a title change, and I think that was one of the stipulations that New Japan had when they okayed the title change after initially saying, no, it is not official. So anyway, of course, they didn't change the titles here. I presume they're doing it on TV. They need to do it soon, since we have the issue of Doug Williams working for Noah.
Oops.
And not New Japan. It's a good one. So anyway, they had a fine little match, 2.5 stars. It was fun while it lasted. And the finish was, we had Eric Young was out there, and he tried to interfere by getting on the apron. The ref booted him off, and then the heels gave Rude a low blow and pinned him. So the British Invasion retains the IWGP Tag Team titles.
Yeah, Eric Young was pretty horrible on commentary, except for one moment early on where Beer Money was running wild, and he said very flatly, "This is not ideal," which is true. Other than that, he
was burying the idiotic referees, which I've done many times here.
But,
so, way to go.
Yeah, other than that, he did not bring a lot to the table. And I described this as a somewhat better than average tag match. I went 2 1/4.
Cody Deaner, ODB, promo backstage. He said there was concern that he would be sexually molested by the beautiful people. Noted he only had eyes for his woman. And then she mentioned something about, quote, her huge boobs.
I believe she said big monster boobies.
Yeah.
But, Deaner in particular here, you mentioned on when we watched that old NWA show about how guys back in the day, they would cut promos where you were not sure what they were saying, but you could not tear their eyes off the screen.
And they were great.
And Deaner in particular was like that here, where you just could not tear your eyes away from him.
Then we had Angeline and Velvet against Cody and ODB in a match for the women's title. They're doing an angle where Don West claims he's fucking Velvet. Apparently this has been over the last couple of TV shows now. And I'm sure he was very upset watching this match because Deaner sexually molested her several times. He spanked her repeatedly until her ass was red. He kissed her. He kissed Angelina. He stuck his tongue down the throat of Madison. They did a lot of spanking and various things. And the finish saw Madison try to spray Deaner, but got Velvet. And then Deaner rolled her up for the pin and then slapped her ass yet again. Went nuts with happiness. And then the ref gave the belt to ODB. Deaner was like, what the fuck? I got the pin. Even Deaner did not know the rules here. So he took the belt and fled. ODB chased him. The fans cheered him, hijacking the title, since he was the most entertaining part of this match by far. It was a 1.5 stars, which is probably generous, but it was entertaining. I had fun watching this match.
The lesson here is that Cody Deaner can make anything great.
Oh, and then the beautiful people teased turning on each other, but then were very angry at...
They just sort of left separately. They did not fight.
Yeah, they went after... They teased Angeline and Velvet breaking up, and then they both teamed up and wanted to kill Madison, so there you go.
Yes, Deaner got the hot tag. He was running wild with kisses, and he dropped toe hold on Velvet Sky, who hit the ropes sort of 619 style, and then Deaner had the idea that he would violate her. He began to do a lewd dance, and the camera got a shot from the floor through Velvet's legs of Cody Deaner doing his lewd dance. I demand an anime to give her this right now. It was tremendous. I will watch it for hours.
Cody Deaner, between the grab-assing and the kissing, his career may have peaked. He may as well...
I'm sure he had a good time.
May as well get out now, because it's all downhill from here, I would guess.
His gimmick,
especially in TNA.
His gimmick is now that he is a sexual predator.
Yeah. Homicide and Joe for the X title, 2 3/4. It was really fun while it lasted, but it really didn't last all that long.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that you have to watch this match and just give up on it making any sense whatsoever. Joe's supposed to be a heel, but he did all of his babyface spots early. He did his running big tope. The people were chanting, Joe is going to kill ya. They were begging for Homicide to tap when he put on the STF. Just ass-backwards psychology. And then Homicide made a comeback, and Joe ended up going for the choke. The people popped huge, and then Homicide tapped like a great babyface does, and Joe got the title. So, way to go, Joe! You're the champion, and a horrible heel. But it's not your fault, I'm sure.
So
I would guess you were not responsible for putting this shitty match together.
I have seen Joe have enough good matches where he was clearly the heel that I'm sure he knows what he's doing, and something just went awry. There was a spanner in the works here, as the English would say. But yeah, it was...
A spanner in the works.
That's an English saying.
Sure.
There's a monkey wrench in the system is what it means. But yeah, it was... Samoa Joe and Homicide cannot have a bad match. But this was about as bad as you could get. It was just a good wrestling match, and there was nothing special about it at all.
Homicide.
Part of it would be that I know you didn't watch Impact and you have not read my report because I emailed it to you during the show. But over the past month, they have done so negative work building up this match that no one could possibly care who would win.
I didn't care.
No one could care.
I was looking over the card during Observer Live today and was like, nobody could possibly care who wins any of these titles. That's bad, including the main event. It was like we had this big discussion. Who would you put the title on? And the discussion ended with, who cares?
Well,
aside from the fact that Angle probably shouldn't be champion, who gives a fuck? We had Angle storming into Morgan's locker room and ranted and raved about this and that, and they basically agreed. Angle said, if you and I work together and one of us leaves with the title, I will guarantee you a spot in the Mafia. But if Sting wins, then all of these, quote, what did he call them?
Something about young
little pricks in the locker room would have some power and that would be bad or something. I don't know. But anyway, Morgan said as long as he could get a contract, if he or Kurt left with the title, then they had a deal, which of course meant they didn't have a deal. Booker, Stevie, Team 3D, TNA tag titles. I gave it 3 1/4. It was a brawl all over the building, but a creative brawl. They did a lot of spots, and even Scott Steiner did a dive off like a 7-foot balcony onto Bubba Ray after screaming, "Superfly!" That was great. And the only thing I hated about this was they start having the match, and maybe they put up the graphic beforehand, but I wasn't paying attention. And don't yell at me, because I don't give a fuck. I'm just noting this stuff. They start having a match, and it's just a regular wrestling match. Then they start brawling in the crowd, so then they alert us it's no DQ. So I'm like, okay. Then they start going for covers in the crowd, and then they alert us it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. And then later there's tables in the ring, and they were about to put somebody through a table, and somebody pulled the table out of the way, so I thought, so now it's a tables match? And then somebody went through the table, and they said, no, it's not a tables match. So, I don't know. I hate this bullshit, but what the hell can you do? You have to accept it if you're going to watch this program. But anyway, the finish was the Dudleys hit the 3D on Booker. As Devon went for the pin, Steiner rolled up Bubba. They had an outside the ring and an inside the ring ref, so they both jumped in and counted a pin for each team. And then, this was awesome, Dave Penzer immediately announces that due to conflicting decisions, the refs are going to have to review the footage. He says that before the refs had said a word to him, and as he's saying it, the refs are going to look at the footage. So, you'd think this was planned in advance or something.
Almost as if it was rigged.
Almost as if this was fake. So the refs go and they watch it, and Slick Johnson has a fucking belt over his shoulder like he's a champion.
That was awesome moment.
So then I guess they announced that, Steiner had gotten the pin.
They just announced that Steiner had won.
Moments before, so they retained. And at this point, in my report, I bet $5 that before the show was over, they would have another fuck finish without instant replay. And by my count, by the time the show was over, I actually made $10, because it happened twice. So, there you go.
Yeah, I went 3 1/4. It had, without question, the best crowd reaction of the show, so that counts for something. And I think the real star of the match was Scott Steiner. You noted his dive off the balcony. You note the amateur roll on the floor. That was a great moment.
Yeah.
And they all four guys really, they did a great job when the table first got set up. They teased guys going through it several times, and at one point they teased Steiner putting Devon through the table with a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Sadly, it was not to be, but it was a fun little brawl. And one good thing about the show is that when you look back on it in hindsight, it was not the same match done over and over again. There was a basic tag match. There was this match where it was crazy brawling all over the place, which is not that uncommon for TNA. We had the next match, we'll get to it, but it was the bloody brawl. We had the comedy tag match with the girls. We had the short guys flying around in the cage. There was a little something for everyone on the show, and that's good.
By the way, I'm too lazy to do this, and again, I don't care enough. But somebody go back, if you have time, and look at the star ratings of like the last 6 months worth of pay-per-views, and let me know how Team 3D has been doing, because I have not checked, and as noted, I don't care enough to check, but it seems to me that they have regularly been having like the best or close to the best matches on all these shows, or at least they're consistently having
good matches,
really, really good matches. Yeah. And Team 3D is one of those teams where, you know, they always mention 22-time World Tag Team Champions, and I think that if you put their name on the Observer Hall of Fame ballot, they'd get like, I don't know, 5% of the vote or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I would vote for them, but you know, I don't know. I just
there's certainly there
aren't a lot of tag teams nowadays, and they're still around, and they're still having really fun matches repeatedly.
Yes.
I don't know if that's enough nowadays, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, when you consider that, for example, the Rock and Roll Express is
not in. No.
Yeah. So. But
or the Midnight Express, if I recall correctly.
Or the Midnight Express, for God's sake. But
sure.
It's very hard for tag teams to get in. But yes, 3D has fun matches on
virtually every show. And by the way, I vote
show.
for both those teams, everybody, just so you know.
If I had a vote, I certainly would. But yeah, but yes, 3D has good matches on every show, and they cut great promos all the time.
Yeah.
They do everything you can do.
Foley and Nash, Legends title, 2.5 stars. It was better than I expected.
Sure.
I got emails, at least one email actually, somebody said this was an awesome match, and wouldn't go that far. It was again a match where it was two old guys. I expected it to be horrible. The one thing I liked about this match was neither guy can move all that well.
Certainly not.
And neither guy can really do all that much.
No.
They used blood, but basically they didn't use every trick in the book. But they used enough tricks to cover up for their limitations, but they didn't use so many that it came across as bullshit, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
It was not a circus out there.
No, they
did a little brawling on the floor. They both bled a lot. There was a fuck finish, but that's in every show.
Well, the deal was Foley beat him up early and then threw him outside and went for his elbow off the apron, and Nash brought a chair up and Foley hit his head on the chair and Foley gigged by his eye. And they really went to work focusing on the eye. They made the most of this blood. And then Foley threw Nash into the steps, and then Nash bled, and Foley went to work on his cut. And they did some stuff, and then the only thing, this probably would have got a better rating, but the finish was lame. The ref somehow got sandwiched. Foley got a barbed wire bat because he had noted in his promo that he was on the Hard Justice poster with a bat, and he did not want to rip off the fans. So Tracy then bounced down to the ring to distract him. Nash poked Foley in the eye, booted him. Foley bonked into Tracy, and here is where the whole thing fell apart because the director was so busy filming Tracy's boobs on the floor that all we heard was a crashing noise, and the next thing you know, Nash is pinning Foley. Now, at least in the past, when they miss the fucking finish, they show a replay. Not here.
No.
They didn't, so I still, at this moment, have no idea how Kevin Nash pinned Mick Foley. So, they missed it, and that was that. Nash won. He walked away with his belt. They did not do instant replay, so there's $5 for me. And then, as Nash was waffling Foley with the bat, Abyss came out to make the save, and they teased these two would team up. So, there you go.
Yes, it was, the worst part about that finish was that Foley bonks into Tracy, and she hits the cameraman, and that's the camera they cut to. So you can't even say he was cutting to Tracy's boobs. He was cutting to Tracy's body. She was out there, and her, you could see her, and the camera bounced around a lot. And then there was a crashing noise, and it cut back in, and Nash had won. So, yeah, that sucked. I give a lot of credit to both guys for not doing what they could not do, and focusing on what they could do, which was do some brawling, build some drama, bleed a lot, and make it mean something. So this is a very smart match, and I credit both guys for that. So this is good.
Angle, Sting, and Morgan for the TNA title, 2 1/4. It was, I guess Morgan I thought would kind of, he did not stand out as being horrible in this match. He was there, he was in place for everything, he didn't look really good, but he didn't look really bad. He was just, he didn't ruin the match at all, let's just put it that way. He didn't help it, but he didn't ruin it. And Angle and Sting did what Angle and Sting always do. The one question I did have was how the fuck Sting got into this match. I've asked this question on SmackDown and Raw, so I have to ask it here as well. How did, for Ziggler, for example, I've asked how did he end up in a 4-way to get a shot at the Intercontinental title when he lost to Ray twice in a row prior to the match? How did Sting get this match if on the last pay-per-view he tapped out clean to Samoa Joe? Why did Samoa Joe tap out Sting and end up with Joe getting an X-title shot and Sting getting a world title shot?
Did that really happen?
Yeah!
I have completely forgotten that.
I have no idea how that happened, but it did. So, anyway, the finish was Angle outside, turned on Morgan. He actually low-bridged him, and Morgan was like, why'd you do that? And Angle explained that Sting was about to drop-kick you, and so I saved you, which actually was exactly what was going to happen. Morgan did not believe this man, probably because he was reading the papers this weekend, and they got into a big brawl, and he ended up giving Angle the carbon footprint on the floor, and Angle sold it like he had broken his neck. So Earl Hebner went out to check on him, and in the ring, we had Morgan covering Sting, but there was no ref, and Morgan yelled at the ref, and Earl replied, and I quote, "Shut up! I'm with him, damn it!" So he was fucked, and then Sting hit the Scorpion and made the cover. Earl Hebner ran in, made the cover, but Morgan kicked out, and then the ref went back out to tend to Angle, and then Morgan hit the carbon footprint on Sting and stepped right on his face in mid-move, made the cover. Kurt then jumped up. I guess, I don't know what happened because he was still selling his injury later, but he pulled the ref out of the ring, and then he went to hit Sting with a chair, but accidentally hit Morgan, and then he covered him, and the ref counted the pin. once again, no instant replay for this, so that is now $10 that I am owed by TNA for this bet that I made. And that was that. Kurt is still the champion. Morgan got pinned. Sting, I don't know what the fuck happened to Sting. He just kind of disappeared. And that was that. So 2.25 stars, well below your average TNA main event, but not a disaster or anything of that nature.
As I noted before, I watched Impact immediately before watching the show. And when Impact ended, the main event was AJ and Morgan. The final of their best of 3 series for the title shot. And when it was over, Matt Morgan kicks AJ in the face. AJ was dead. Matt Morgan pinned him. There was no doubt this Morgan fellow was the better man. He had destroyed his competitor, a highly ranked TNA competitor. He had destroyed him cleanly and was clearly superior and had earned his title shot. And then all this bullshit with Kurt goes down, and I thought to myself, I'm sure they were not planning on a title change here, but Matt Morgan has all the momentum in the world right now. What the hell? What the hell? What can go wrong if you have him win here? How can that be worse than what you've been doing?
Because they want Kurt Angle as the champion. He's the star. He was in the papers this weekend.
So
the AP was writing about him.
I suppose he did get a lot of press.
Sure.
That is true. So, they're doing this match and...
think about this, though, really.
Mm-hmm.
If Kurt Angle's a champion, TNA will be mentioned. They will regularly be mentioned as he's the champion of TNA.
I think he may also get mentioned as the former gold medalist who also works for TNA.
I'm just looking at how these people have to justify these things, because I got no better explanation.
I am so long beyond trying to think through their eyes. But so here's Matt Morgan. He's got all the momentum in the world. He had 3 good matches in a row, beat this guy. And here he is in the match with the two old men. He cripples Kurt Angle with a kick, goes inside, kicks Sting's ass, has a visual pin on this man. No ref. Then Sting gets a sort of visual pin on him, except Morgan kicks out this time. They keep having this match, and I think, okay, clearly Kurt Angle's going to win, but at least Sting is there to get pinned. Then Matt Morgan gets hit with a chair. Then Kurt Angle covers him. Then time goes by. The ref's out of the ring. He's out of position. He's just not there. He comes to. He runs over. He counts 1 and he counts 2, and they've got an out now because Morgan was, he had a lot of time to recover from this chair shot. The ref counted 3. Momentum done. Star killed. Show sucks.
Vince, it doesn't matter.
You're probably right.
It doesn't matter at all.
You're probably right.
If this were, I don't know, if it did matter, I would be upset. But I don't care. It doesn't matter at all who the TNA champion is. It does not matter if Matt Morgan won or lost. It's going to make absolutely no difference. So who cares?
Because every once in a while I'm stupid and I have hope.
You've got to stop doing that. You've got to stop doing that.
And I don't
if they
have
have a giant regime change, then maybe I'll have hope again. But right now, the way things are going, I don't have any hope, so I don't care. Yeah. It doesn't bother me.
So as you noted, what you had here was a completely forgettable TNA pay-per-view main event.
105/60, I'd say right now, and I'm fine with that.
In 12 months, if you ask me what happened on Hard Justice main event 2009, I will say I have no fucking clue.
I just like it when you say beautiful people and tag team in the same sentence. It just seems to go together so well. As I was cooking Velvet Sky breakfast this morning, you got to be kidding me!
Don West is no longer an announcer for TNA.
That just doesn't sound as interesting. I'm not going to say that our crowd is the smartest group of people that have ever shown up, but I swear I hear them chanting USA. Now, is that for the Mexican or is that for the Brit?
I already missed Don West.
That just doesn't sound as interesting, the man said.
I thought Taz did a good job, I'm not going to lie. He did a fine job as a commentator, but Don West the last 3 months he's been the best. And I'm so sad he's gone. There was one less entertaining thing about Impact this week because of the death of Don West on that show.
See, yeah, the thing is, Taz is actually a huge upgrade, but...
Who wants that on Impact?
Yeah, exactly. It made the show more boring. It was one less thing to hate. Hate's the wrong word.
I don't want another WWE show.
Yes.
God bless Taz and all, but You're bringing another aspect of WWE to a show that's supposed to be an alternative. How is this an alternative if the fucking SmackDown announcer is now here on this fucking show? I mean, like I said, he did a good job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He did nothing wrong. But Don West and Mike Tenay were for all their faults, which weren't even their fault realistically, the last 3 months were just fucking gold. And now Don West he's gone. Tenay opened the show talking about that, and said West had been promoted to a prominent spot in the merchandising department, and this and that and other such bullshit. And Taz came out, and just a babyface now. Tenay respects him. All that heel shit that we saw as recently as Sunday, out the window. And the only thing that, he said Taz was on his own and he wanted his towel back. That was the extent of it. This was a fail in just every conceivable way.
My favorite
They didn't even do an angle.
No, they just introduced Taz as announcer.
Oh, Jesus.
He cast Joe aside. He lost his towel. He was friendly, jolly Taz again. And and it was in fact just like the guy from SmackDown had moved to Impact. I also like that. I know this is not news, but Taz's whole career was based on being the scariest guy in the room, even though he was really short. Mike Tenay towered over him.
Well, I've met Mike Tenay, and
is he taller than he looks on TV?
He is. The first time I met Mike Tenay, I was like, Christ, this guy is huge.
I guess so.
He's one of those guys that he actually, if he probably could have been a wrestler back in the day, because he was just one of those guys. It's like he's a bigger human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you put him next to the Motor City Machine Guns, and you'd be like, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, if this guy had a physique, you'd think he'd kill these two little guys. But
just looking at him, I see him sitting down 99% of the time, and he looks like a guy who'd be short and small.
Well, he is definitely not.
Yeah, and Taz is short. So,
Main Event Mafia came out.
That pissed me off so bad. I don't know why.
Well, it's because it always happens.
That's why it pissed me off. But why did it catch me off guard?
I don't know.
That's why I said that.
So Morgan came out swinging an axe handle. He was mad that Angle had pinned him on Sunday, and Angle went into talking to the cops mode, explaining everything that had happened from his point of view. He said that Matt had kicked him first. He was hurt. He was groggy. He accidentally hit Morgan because Morgan was out of position, and then Morgan just happened to be there to get pinned, so he pinned him. And he said, listen, the deal on Sunday was that if one of us retained the title, then everything was great, and one of us did, me, so therefore I'm going to give you another chance to redeem yourself tonight. It's going to be me and you against Team 3D in a tables match. And in hindsight, this was like so weird, because Morgan goes into like over-the-top, obvious, I'm going to fuck you later tonight mode. He's completely sarcastic.
It was all my fault, Kurt.
He starts blaming himself. He starts kissing up to Kurt. And it was just like, it was just telegraphing that he was going to turn on the guy. And then he did another interview later in the show, telegraphing that he was going to turn on the guy. And then the show ended, and he didn't turn on the guy.
No.
So now I'm wondering, what kind of a stupid fucking swerve was this? I thought it was a swerve. I was actually happy for this swerve, because I was like, okay, we all know what's going to happen, and this is fine. Because when it happens, the heels are the one that are going to look stupid. Because everybody knew that he was going to turn on Kurt Angle except the heels. The heels are the ones that are supposed to look stupid, not the baby faces. So then the show ends, he doesn't turn on the guy, he gets fucked as a result, and he looks stupid.
Right.
It was just amazing. An amazing turn of events on this show.
That's the most obvious question in hindsight. At the time, I kept asking myself a million questions that all started with the word why. Why does Kurt Angle want to face Team 3D? Why does he want it to be a tables match?
I don't know.
Why does he want Morgan as his partner?
I don't know.
Why can he book his own matches?
I don't know. I have no answers to any of these questions. I was busy trying to figure out the Morgan thing.
That's fair, too.
British invasion, beer money, non-title street fight. They brawled all over with weapons. Rude got hit in the head and busted open. The heels tied Storm to the ring post with rope. And then the ref came down to cut him free. This was awesome, because I was sitting there thinking, first off, the ref is freeing him with a pair of scissors. Yet he cannot break free. It's not like this was thick rope that required a saw or fire. He had a small pair of scissors. He just snipped the rope and the man was free. But yet, somehow, James Storm was unable to break free. Then,
of course, spent a lot of time with twine.
The other big question is
possible.
why are refs coming down to free men in hardcore matches?
That's a much better question. What? I guess they were saying he was tied to it by the neck, and so there was fear he may pass on.
But they didn't care about the guy with the plastic bag in the ring putting it over the other guy's head?
They don't care about any other potentially lethal action these men were taking.
They made a big comeback. They broke a beer bottle over Doug Williams' head, who was bloody going in, and then gave Magnus a suplex powerbomb combo into a trash can for a pin. It was actually a pretty damn great little match, all things considered.
Sure.
And all things considered, meaning the idiocy I was talking about moments before.
The crowd was totally going into it. Taz noted this kind of matches, and this is a direct quote, career shortening. I was just left wondering why they did a very violent, unannounced street fight with no build, with no payoff, really, nothing on the line, here for free on Impact.
Well, because
to shorten men's careers for
Vince Russo had no idea what he was doing. Lauren interviewed the beautiful people about the pay-per-view and asked, or actually her question involved a line in which she said Angelina didn't just lose the title match on Sunday, she also lost her BFF. That made me laugh. I don't know why. They blamed it all on Madison Rayne and said they were going to take her out tonight, and that was that.
There was a point here where the beautiful people said they weren't laughing because laughing causes wrinkles. They then stared at each other, and then stared at Lauren, and then each other, and then the camera, and it was a bit from the Muppet Show.
Sure.
Which I liked. So, fine.
They actually showed clips from the pay-per-view of Diener running off with the women's title, and then they were still arguing about it here 4 days later. They ran into Foley. Diener pleaded his case that he should be the king of the knockouts. And Foley wanted to know how a man could be the king of the knockouts, which actually, he'd be the king. So why couldn't he be the king of the knockouts? So anyway, ODB said it was ODB with Cody Diener. Therefore, whoever got the pin, ODB should have got the title. And Diener said this was an assumption. And anyway, he was great here. But Foley said, listen, I'll take it under consideration. We'll talk about it next week. I was just laughing because Diener made up this, he had this chalkboard and he was doing drawings and he was pleading his case this way and that. And he should have just said that Russo is booking, so therefore, obviously I was going to win the title. Since they're all into realism and shooting, that should have been his argument, but he didn't think of that. So Foley, after that, ran into Abyss, said he was so proud of Abyss for saving his life. They did a gift for him, which was a blue flannel, which I'm sure will make Bubba Ray Dudley very jealous.
Yes,
and
he's now Mick Foley's chosen protege.
This segment went on forever.
This was longer than the vast majority of Impact matches. Wasn't horrible. It just lasted forever and ever and ever. And I also like that ODB was pointing out it was billed as ODB with Diener. So even though it was changed to a tag match, it was still originally billed as a singles match, therefore she should be champion. This title is such a joke.
Yeah?
No, none of the combatants know what's going on. None of the majority of shareholders said he'll make a decision next week. Comedy.
Angelina killed Madison. Just a complete squash. And then they continued beating on her. And Tara and Christy Hemme. I didn't see Impact last week. I did not see the debut of Christy Hemme. She's back. She's still horrible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't see last week. Let me tell you.
No.
She's horrible.
So, yeah, they and then after a commercial, Angelina and Madison were back beating on her after the break or something like that. Or maybe that was later.
That came after.
That was later.
It came.
So where did the baby faces go?
Don't know.
How about that?
Yeah, there were two segments in between the match and then the post, the beating in the locker room, or excuse me, one segment in between the match and the beating in the locker room, and that segment featured Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley.
This was the greatest segment in TNA history, in all of Impact history. I swear to God, I think this was the most intentionally funny thing I've ever seen on this show.
Without hesitation.
There have been moments that have been more unintentionally funny. A lot of them, actually. But as far as, scripted comedy that was funny, this was by far the greatest. Basically, they whored themselves out.
Yes.
They said they were on TV for three things: entertaining the fans, getting laid, and getting paid. They said they would do anything for $2,000 an hour. 696-696-6969 is the number. I cannot do this segment justice.
No,
it was
can't.
fucking phenomenal.
were pointing out they will do anything. They said they had seen District 9, but they would watch it again. They'd be willing to sit on the couch and play, I forget what video game he said, but there was a video game involved, or they would just sit on the couch and watch TV and give suggestions on things they could do.
Sure.
Well, while you cook them dinner.
Exactly.
Yes.
This was so great.
And we can't do it justice because they're funnier than us.
They are significantly funnier than us. So anyway, that was awesome. And then it was back to...
Then right after he gave the number, the last 9 in the series of 6-9-6-9s, instant cutaway to Angelina and Velvet beating up Madison, which lasted for no more than 6 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Probably less.
Yeah. So that was that. And then we had Joe and Homicide for the X title, which was fine while it lasted. Joe dropped him on his head with the German, and then powerbombed the shit out of him. And Homicide not only kicked out, but was doing a comeback literally seconds later. It was amazing. It was really good if you are fine with a 12-minute match being compressed to 3 minutes with absolutely no selling whatsoever. So there you go. And once this was over, they went back to Lauren interviewing Sarita, Taylor, Christy, and Tara. Now, meanwhile, apparently, in another area of the building, Madison Rayne, who they'd saved earlier, was getting killed. But they were busy having a love fest here. This was the prelude to lesbian porn. They were sitting there talking about... I don't even know how to explain what they were talking about. Well, they're having a tournament next week to crown the first ever Divas Tag Team Champions, which, by the way, involved an awesome line when Tara said, "This is something WWE never would have considered." These are almost her exact word for word.
Yeah, WWE would never do this.
WWE would never do this, she said. I wonder why.
Because
I fucking wonder why there would never be a Divas Tag Team Championship in WWE. I don't even know whether there's 2 Divas Champions, for Christ's sake. So they're talking about how, it's so exciting to be teaming with you. And Chrissy's like, me and Tara spent all day in the ring yesterday just getting to know each other. And I'm like, really? Is there footage of this? Jesus.
Yeah, yes, and the kicker was... Sarita and Christy would be fighting in a 4-way later, and all 4 of these girls would be beating each other up in 2 weeks or next week for the tag title, and they were celebrating this by being all chummy and friendly and happy.
Yeah.
As they prepared to kill each other.
Then we had Kong, Tracy, Sarita, and Christy. When this match was signed, obviously the question was, why is this not just Kong and Sarita? Why is Tracy in this match? Why is Christy in this match? The answer is, exactly as you would think, they were in the match to fuck it up. This was a complete mess. There was a spot where Sarita tried a tilt-a-whirl into an arm drag on Tracy. She does a tilt-a-whirl, and Tracy just drops her. Sarita is not even close to her arm to do the arm drag. So Tracy stood there for a split second, deciding whether or not she should take the bump. And so she decided to take the bump. This is on a taped show which can be edited.
Yes.
It was left in exactly as it happened.
Yes.
There was botchery right and left.
That was the worst spot Tracy blew, but it was not the first one.
No.
There was a bit where she was trying to do something where, like, Christy whipped her into the ropes and she caught them and went through them and tripped her or something, but it just came off as horrible. So bad, I'm not even entirely sure what they were trying to do.
And then Tracy ended up stealing a pin from Kong on Christy.
That infuriated me.
This was so much better, or I'm sorry, it's so much worse than Gail versus Mickey on Monday.
Without question.
That had the terrible finish.
And if Dave disagrees, you need to end the merger.
Well, Dave went back and rewatched it and agreed with me.
Okay.
He cannot possibly think that this match was better than that one. It's impossible.
This match was horrible. Tracy looked god-awful, and then she won. And Tracy was much worse than Christy in this match. Yes.
I don't know about that one.
Yes.
I don't know about that one.
I also like, one last note here, Christy was wrestling while Tara stood there in the corner.
No, yeah, of course.
Good rib. Good rib.
And next week it's Kong and Saeed against Tracy and Charmel.
I believe that's what they said, yeah.
Tracy and Charmel.
As a tag team.
Against Awesome Kong and Raisha Saeed.
This is why
WWE never did anything like this.
Yes. It's a terrible, terrible idea.
The Black Pope debuted on Impact and faced Consequences Creed. Beat him clean with the double knees to the back. This was actually a great match to showcase the Black Pope. The people were into it. And then Suicide hit the ring afterwards, and the Pope ran for the hills. Elisha Burke looked great here.
Sure. It was a squash. Basically, Creed got a little bit of offense. The Black Machismo got ejected for no apparent reason. There was here and somewhere in the women's four-way where Mike Tenay started talking about something about a new edict allowing referees more power. And because this is TNA, this announcement was never actually made, nor was it ever explained or clarified. So I don't know what's going on, or why.
Then we had a segment which was a mix of good and bad. It was AJ coming out to announce his retirement, which is bad, because you knew that he would not actually retire. He lost one fucking match to Matt Morgan, and now he's thinking about calling it a career. That's the first stupid thing. So then he cuts his promo. He's actually literally, legitimately crying. He said, it's been a rough few weeks. Really? You won at least one of those 3 matches. He said it's been a rough few weeks, just like it'd been rough since he was a kid. His father was such an asshole, this and that. But he said he'd never quit. Then he starts talking about all this time on the road, all the time away from my family, all the stress has resulted in me being a terrible father. I've been yelling at my children for petty things, he said, and he began crying. He said it just wasn't worth it anymore, at which point the people applauded.
They agreed. You're right, AJ. This bullshit is not worth it.
So he's about to announce his retirement, and they're chanting, please don't go. Said he'd been there for 7 years. He loved the fans. It was time to say goodbye to pro wrestling. Out came Sting, Real Estate Steve this time.
He looked...
No face paint.
No hair dye.
No, well, he hadn't dyed his hair in a while.
His beard was gray. He had gray at his temples.
Yeah.
His hairline was way back there.
You know, I once saw a CMLL show, and Rio de Jalisco Sr. was on the show.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, he was just there for a ceremony.
Okay.
He wasn't actually wrestling.
That's good.
But anyway, Rio de Jalisco Sr. wears a mask. So here's a guy who had to be 60 or 70 years old, and he looked pretty much exactly like Rio de Jalisco when he was, say, 30 years old, because he's wearing a fucking mask. So Sting's out there at pay-per-views, and he's got his face paint on, and he's in pretty good shape for being 50, and he moves fairly well, and so you think, God, this guy, I hope when I'm 50 I look this good. Then Sting came out here tonight. Sans face paint, sans hair dye. He looked at least 60 years old. So, the road alone, you everybody. Anyway, so he comes out here, and he says, AJ, if you give up now, you're quitting on your family. You're quitting on me. You're quitting on all these little kids who want to grow up and do stupid fucking things in the ring like you do. He said he was a loser for quitting. He said he'd suffered many years, the past 20 years, Sting. He'd never quit. And this was when I thought, you're guilt-tripping a guy into going back into a business where he has admittedly started treating his family like shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
AJ is sitting there going, I have become a bad person because of this business. And then Sting comes out and starts giving him a guilt trip about being a quitter? Then Sting's like, you are the guy that I'm going to pass the torch to. You're the guy where I'm going to hang up the boots and I'm going to give them to you. And I'm sitting there thinking, so you're going to quit?
He's going to quit.
You're giving him a guilt trip about quitting when he's being an asshole to his family so that you can pass the torch to him so you can quit? This whole thing was bullshit.
Not only that, but didn't this whole Sting heel turn and the whole Journey for Respect thing, didn't it start with him laying AJ Styles out?
I think it may have.
I could swear the very first bit was he came out and hit a death drop on AJ.
Probably did. So anyway, he said that you can either look me in the eye and tell me I'm a quitter and I'm a loser, or you can go back and lace the boots up again.
I like boot ups.
Lace those boot ups. They may be boot ups, actually, because they're not wrestling boots, what AJ's got on. Anyway, so he turns his back to Sting, and then he turns around like a little kid and hugs him, and everyone goes, ah! And then they leave together, and that was the retirement of AJ Styles in a nutshell.
I guess. Is he retired now?
Well, no, he wrestles next week.
Well, I understand that in the next tapings he is already unretired, but...
No one else knew either.
When this segment ended, I was under the impression he was not retiring. That's why Sting left the ring first, and I was certain that AJ was going to hit him, and then say, screw you, I'm retiring.
That'd be a great retirement, by the way.
but he didn't, and so I was confused. So perhaps he will really retire next week. I don't know what's going on. People are into it again. So I guess if you just want to satisfy the people in the Impact Zone, great. They were happy. I do want to talk about, this is prefaced by a brief segment, but a notable one. It was a Matt Morgan promo.
I already talked about this.
This is the one, though, it was again, he kept up, he mentioned how he was going over the top about how he was going to be Kurt's friend when he was clearly saying, I'm going to turn on this man tonight. That's not the part actually I want to talk about. The actual words that came out of his mouth were, he said Kurt Angle was a very honest man who never lied. You can trust Kurt Angle, he said. Awesome.
He was being sarcastic.
That's what made it so awesome, though. He was saying to the police, don't trust this man. He's full of shit.
I just love that he was doing the sarcastic promo, and Lauren was falling for it hook, line, and sinker. Well, which I guess in the end she was right. We were the ones stupid. Then we had the Hernandez promo, vowed to cash in the briefcase, win the world title. Then Eric Young walked up and tried to recruit him into the World Elite. That was exciting.
The best part was Hernandez finishes his promo, he says the last word, whatever it was, and then as soon as he is done, he turns to where Eric is going to walk in.
Yeah.
So it's not even like Eric was interrupting him.
No, he was waiting for him.
Yes.
So Lashley came out. He is no longer the God of Thunder. He is now the boss. Yeah. So they're still pushing him as a guy trying to become a huge success in both MMA and pro wrestling at the same time, which obviously begs the question, in the world of pro wrestling, in the fantasy world of professional wrestling, what the fuck is the difference between pro wrestling and MMA?
I believe the answer would be that pro wrestling has pinfalls and rope breaks.
And MMA is exactly the same, you just can't pin a guy?
Yes.
And all the matches are cage matches?
Apparently, yes.
God, this was stupid.
Well, you should have seen last week when he noted that he was still doing fighting because, and this is a direct quote, I still have that urge to compete.
They're so fucking stupid. They said next week he was going to have a sit-down interview with Dixie Carter. That should be awesome.
And then they said he would stick around and do commentary.
Yeah.
This was a lie.
Angle and Matt Morgan came out, faced Team 3D, and Angle got in a brief confrontation with Lashley, and I guess Lashley got scared, because we never saw or heard from him again.
Right. I did forget about the confrontation. Perhaps he was escorted out then, and we didn't know.
Wow.
But yeah, towards the ends of this 90-minute match, about 80 minutes in, you asked, hey, where's Lashley? And I thought, hey, that's right.
Yeah.
So I remembered him being out there, and I forgot about their confrontation.
Taz, of course, called him Bubba Ray.
He flat out said, I can only call him Bubba.
Yeah. He goes, actually he goes, I like to call him Bubba, so whatever. And I thought, yeah, whatever to WWE legal when they call you up tomorrow morning. So they had a fun little match. Crowd chanted Morgan sucks, which was awesome because it was like, even the fans are falling for this. And then all four guys got involved and it broke down. Complete mess. Everybody was in everybody else's way. Then we had Angle too late moving a table, and so Morgan hit it, the table collapsed, and the ref had to pretend that this didn't count as a break. Angle put Devon on a table, demanded Morgan go up top. Morgan said, no, my foot hurts. Angle demanded he go up there.
No, I'm 7 goddamn feet tall.
So, of course, he went up there and he got put through a table for the pin and or the victory or whatever. So, Morgan lost, but it was Angle's fuck-up. That was the story of this segment. And, yeah, there you go. I guess Matt Morgan is getting skyrocketed to the top here.
By losing repeatedly?
Sure. That's the idea.
That's brilliant promotion. This is one of those matches where about 5 times they do the spot where someone's going through a table and then their partner yanks it out of the way. I always hate that because I'm always afraid that the table's going to turn on its side or something. Or like what happened with Kurt where he's late and someone's going to go through the table anyway. Plus, it always results in someone just splatting on the ring, which is a much harder bump.
Yeah.
So that annoyed me. And it went on forever. And it was not a good TNA main event.
No. The show was a thumbs in the middle. It was...
By Impact standards, it was a thumbs in the middle. I have seen better. I have seen much, much worse.
Yeah. It was, there have been some shows that were much better than this of late, but this existed. It was a TNA show that existed. I can't get all that mad about it anymore. I don't get that mad about it at this point, so. To the back! Alright, Impact was, fine. Didn't have any major problems with it. There was your usual stupidity.
There was stuff to hate.
There was some really... Actually, the stuff this week, there wasn't much to hate. There was just a lot of shit to laugh at. Like, goddamn, what a bunch of fools. But they are at least trying to create new stars. I cannot fault them for this. They're trying to get new dudes over.
They're doing what they can, yes.
So way to go.
And I will say, Impact did not open with a Main Event Mafia coming out.
No.
I think this is a bigger story than race suspension. I would put this in the headline.
So we should make this a breaking news update?
Yes. Joe versus Suicide opens Impact, not Main Event Mafia.
We had AJ and Sting show up, and Lauren asked AJ what the status of his retirement was. He proceeds to lift up a backpack. A backpack! And he said, you know what this is? It's my gear bag. I'm here to work. And then Cute Kip walked up and asked if he could park Sting's fancy car. And Sting said, you don't need to do that. And after they left, he said to Lauren, I used to have a car like that. And she said, when? And he said, when I was over. And they immediately cut away.
In the middle of the R and over, they cut away.
Insider lols. That is the first thing that I thought, in all capital letters. This was so lame. It was like one giant... I don't even know what it was. Was it funny to us? I guess.
In a way.
I don't know.
Suppose. I thought it was funnier that Lauren watched this guy drive to work and then asked, what's the status of your retirement? If he was retired, wouldn't he be at home and not here at work? And as far as the backpack, I'm just glad AJ was not carrying around his gear in a taped-up paper sack.
Why? That would have been better. Samito got away with a plastic bag. A backpack. A fucking backpack. Is he in elementary school?
He may be.
He should have showed up on the fucking bus with his backpack full of gear. Oh, God. These people, here's the one thing on this show. No idea how to create superstars. I mean, duh, okay, obviously, but it was just hammered into my head here. You know why, who was it that cut that promo saying, AJ, you could walk down the street and nobody would know who you were in Gainesville, Georgia?
Probably Sting.
Okay, you want to know fucking why? Because you're on this fucking show with a backpack, carrying your fucking gear. You know who looked like the biggest star on the show by a country mile?
Sting in his fancy car?
No, the fucking Black Pope.
All right, sure.
You disagree?
No, I accept it.
He had a great fucking outfit. He's got a great look. He's got the hair. He's got the jacket. He's got the gear. He looked more like a fucking star than anybody on this entire show. Anybody. Kurt Angle looks like an old man. Sting is a 50-year-old guy who doesn't wear his face paint half the time. Who else is supposed to be a star? Team 3D in their fucking goofy-ass clothes that they wear. Abyss in his flannel. Mick Foley in a judge's wig. Who else on the show even begins to look like a star? Maybe Matt Morgan. That's it. I was just watching this and I thought they should put the title on the Black Pope. Just because he's the only one here that actually... In fact, he's a heel and he came out for the opener here. And what were the people chanting? Pope is pimpin'.
Pope is pimpin'.
It was Joe versus Suicide. Joe is also supposed to be a heel. But of course he works like a babyface. So I'm sure you're shocked to hear that everybody cheered Joe and booed Suicide. Well, if you watched him work, what the fuck are you supposed to do? So they brawled outside. Suicide, De Niro, Daniels, and Joe all ended up fighting. And so the ref said it had gotten out of control. So therefore they were turning into a tag match. Huh. All right.
I'm just happy they didn't book it to a four-way.
Could have.
They had two heels and two faces.
I was wondering how the ref decided how to make this into a tag match. I thought for sure it was Russo, so it would be like Suicide and De Niro against Daniels and Joe.
That's something worse they could have done.
Yeah.
I was just happy we got a reasonable tag match with two heels against two faces. Just a nice, easy little match to do.
World Elite came out, and Bashir cut a promo. Started talking about the war in Iraq. Ranted and raved, the war is still going on. Women and children and soldiers are dying. I'm sitting there thinking, isn't the idea of like a pro wrestling show to escape the problems and the sadness of real life?
I would think so.
He's going on and on. He starts talking about oil. All I could think was, this is like the ultimate cheap heat.
It's close. It's pretty close.
The ultimate cheap heat. I'm going to talk about war and oil and kids dying. Why the fuck would you want to watch this or listen to this on a wrestling show? It's not even like, boy, I really hope someone comes up and shuts up the Sheik. No, it's like, gee, is Jay Leno's new show on? or whatever the fuck's on another channel.
What's on Food Network?
What's on the Food Network right now? I would rather watch that than this shit. So,
and then the only redeemable factor of this, he got angry, he started to curse, he regained his composure, then he calmly and politely said, "Thank you for your time."
Yeah.
And he passed the mic on.
So
that
then
almost made it all worth it.
Eric starts ranting and raving about how everyone's handcuffed by corrupt morals and this and that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is such a low-rent Chris Jericho.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's like a low-rent Chris Jericho that doesn't have a thesaurus. And I've been watching this guy be a goofball for 4 years. I cannot at all, not even remotely, take this guy seriously as a heel. So Hernandez came out. The crowd did chant "kick his ass," and it was Hernandez against like 6 guys, so I don't know what the fuck the point of that chant was, but Eric told him to join World Elite. He said no, and so, of course, he added the "love it or leave it" line. And this sucked. This whole
segment just stopped.
This whole segment just sucked.
It went 94 minutes. It went forever. It was lame. My favorite part was Eric asked Hernandez, you wear the colors of your country. Did they ever support you? Did they ever respect you? And the answer is yes. He came out, and all the fans chanted LAX passionately.
Yeah.
They honored and respected him, Eric. Your plan has failed.
You just, with Vince Russo, you pretend like everything is new. Like there's no history. Or you just make shit up as you go along and you expect people to not use their brains. We had a segment where Shelley was working as a cameraman. By the way, why? I don't know.
Just to get them on TV.
Why ask why?
Goofy. Yeah.
So they're all goofing around, and up comes Dr. Stevie, and he tells him to stop fucking around and go end Abyss's career since $50,000 is on the line. You can't pin him, he said. You've got to end his career. And Lauren, the picture of professionalism, is begging them to ignore him. And they said, and I quote, "We're rich!" and went off to do the deed.
They also had the custom, one-of-a-kind Motor City Machine Guns tissue box cover that somebody actually knitted.
You know what's amazing about the machine guns is, like, if you look at Booker T, for example, he does not give a shit about TNA. He doesn't give a shit in his promos. He doesn't give a shit in the ring. He never gives a shit at all. And why should he, quite frankly? He's being paid huge money to not give a shit. So why give a shit? The machine guns, however, you watch like their promos, you watch anything that's outside of the ring, and they do not give a shit. Like, at all. It is a huge comedy joke to them. Yet when they get in the ring, you would never know it. They work so goddamn hard in the ring.
Yeah. It's
incredible, actually. So, we had Awesome Kong and Raisha Saeed against Tracy and Sharmell. And when this match started, I thought, if Russo was really creative, he would make sure that Raisha and Alyssa Flash are in the same bracket so they would have to meet at the pay-per-view. Because then, there are creative storylines you could do, because they are the same person. It has not been revealed. So think of the ideas you could do. Like, Raisha comes down with a cold, and she can't wrestle when Alyssa Flash is wrestling, or whatever the case might be. And, you get fans of mystery to try and figure out. We've never seen these two in the same place at the same time. Well, amazingly, he has booked them in opposite brackets in this tournament.
If Alyssa Flash wins the next round, they will meet in the second round.
So, pretty much guaranteed they won't meet. But, what the hell?
What can you do?
The idea was there. So anyway, the Kong won, or Kong's team won. You see, Kong had the win on Tracy, but Sharmell broke it up. So Kong chased her away, and Raisha jumped back in the ring and got the pin. And because she'd gotten the pin and not Kong, Kong was mad.
Right.
Even though their team advanced.
Won. And the team won because Kong killed somebody.
Yeah.
I hate this shit. It's so dumb.
It is very stupid.
The only other notable thing is they actually did a promo earlier with Tracy and Sharmell, where Sharmell declared they were saying they were not scared of those two fat asses. Sharmell declared, "Gangster runs through these veins." A great line. And as I guess the baby faces, but as Kong and Raisha were coming to the ring,
they're the baby faces.
Taz said he did not understand, and this is the term he used, Raisha's gimmick.
Yeah.
He doesn't know why she covers her face.
Yeah.
Taz is already better than Don West.
Oh, come on now. Can you imagine if Don West would have said those same lines, though? It would have been funnier. Because he's Don West.
Don West had years to say those lines. He never did.
Well,
Took Taz 2 weeks.
Well, the reason is because Taz is new. So, of course, he doesn't know her gimmick. Don West has been there since the beginning. If Don West came back next week, perhaps he'd say, I don't get this Raisha Saeed's gimmick.
Don West could have said, I really like Raisha Saeed's gimmick. I don't know.
You failed. Morgan stormed in to talk with Angle, and I gave up. I mean, they were just talking so much.
They were shouting at each other a lot.
They were just talking so much that I just could not care no more.
There was something about a 4-way at No Surrender for the title, and Angle did not seem bothered that he would have to face 3 men in this match. And I thought Morgan said he wanted in. Bryan got the impression that he said he was in. I don't know.
Didn't they say at the end he was in?
I think at the end of the show they said he was in.
Yeah.
And
who cares?
Morgan said he'd been in the business 7 years. And Angle said, that's your problem, you're so inexperienced. I've been in nearly a decade. Which is, I guess, more than 7 years.
Here's a fun fact. Kurt Angle has been in this business 2 years longer than Matt Morgan. Talk about an inconceivable fact.
I'll get into this more at the end of the show, but the show was followed by the Couture Nogueira hype special. And they revealed that Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, right now, is younger than Randy Couture was when he had his first pro fight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, then we had the Rhino-Jesse Neal match. Jesse was wearing a long-sleeved shirt, Walmart shorts, knee pads, shooter boots, and his unmilitary haircut. This was amazing. By the way, why didn't Jesse Neal run out when the Mad Sheik was ranting and raving about war? Well, because no one thinks. Anyway, so they had a match. Rhino beat him up. Then he continued to beat him up, so they reversed the decision. Like on Impact, the heels never keep beating up the babyfaces after a match. But that's what happened.
The rules are enforced when they want them to.
Yep. Devon made the save, which is why I hate them, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I want the rules enforced all the time. So,
or just no rules.
Rhino ran in, or Devon ran in, made the save. Yeah. Team 3D trained Jesse Neal in real life.
I see.
So they may be doing a storyline where Team 3D takes him under their wing, makes a wrestler out of him, gives him a good haircut, gives him good gear.
Yeah, I should go to Bubba Ray Dudley for good haircut advice.
Well, in the end, the point is, the storyline is going to be that Rhino is also the shittiest wrestling trainer in the world. So way to go, Rhino.
Sure.
Your career is looking up.
Speaking of careers, they were talking about this, about how Jesse Neal's dream was to be a pro wrestler, but so far his career had been a nightmare. For those of you not paying attention, and I envy you, this was Jesse Neal's second match.
That's a fucking nightmare of a career.
Jesus.
So they're correct. Then we had ODB and Cody Deaner with Mick Foley, Wrestler's Court. Foley had a powdered wig. He looked like Santa Claus. Abyss walked in and Foley gave him groceries. I'm sure this is an inside joke that I missed. I don't give a fuck.
Last week Abyss said he liked groceries.
Why? Out of nowhere, he was just like, by the way, everyone, I like groceries.
Foley said he had a gift for him, and Abyss said he liked groceries, and Mick said, no, in the grocery bag, and it was the flannel.
So it was an inside joke, because I wasn't paying attention last week.
That's fine.
So, then we had him determine that, or he asked each of them to state their case, and ODB's evidence why she should be the champion was, it was a woman's title, she was a woman. Cody was not. So, Cody's evidence was that he knocked out Mike Tyson and Chuck Norris. So Foley decided that, I guess he sided with Cody, because he announced they were having a match at the pay-per-view, and the winner got the belt. And then, after they were gone, Foley held up his baseball bat and told Borash he had something else up his sleeve. And now that the show's over, I don't know what he had up his sleeve, because we never saw him use his bat.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I just remember when Awesome Kong and Gail Kim was like the best thing on the show, fighting the prestigious women's title.
Yeah.
And now it's being contested.
And this shocks you why? Vince Russo is in control.
Just amazing to think about. A man and a woman are having a verbal debate settled by a guy in a wig.
Yeah. No, it's going to be settled by the guy in the wig has stated it will be settled in a wrestling match between the two of them at a pay-per-view. We have to pay for this privilege to see this battle.
Cody Deaner saved the last women's match he was in. It's Cody Deaner.
All right. Abyss and the Motor City Machine Guns. I guess I should have expected this, but it was actually far more entertaining than I figured it would be going in. I do like how these wrestlers are trying to collect a $50,000 bounty to end a guy's career in the wrestling ring.
Yes,
Not trying to run him over with a car.
No, not poison him.
Yeah, they're going to out-wrestle him.
And after Dr. Stevie specifically said, you don't have to pin him, you have to end his career, they kept, cradling him.
Sure. They might cradle him, and he's so embarrassed to have lost to a 170-pound man that he retires.
They may schoolboy him until he dies.
So they're doing this match, and there was actually some cool spots. For example, Abyss had Shelley on his shoulders to the shock treatment while simultaneously leg-dropping Sabin. That was awesome. So the ref was distracted. Yes. The ref was distracted in this wrestling match where guys were trying to collect a $50,000 bounty to end a man's career. They distracted the ref, and then Stevie ran in. Because, you see, he was trying to help the men collect his $50,000 bounty. As Dave said, well, it is 3-on-1 in that case. Maybe this is a good plan. I don't know. But anyway, Sabin tried to springboard, got caught, got pinned, and then the machine guns killed Stevie. Why? I don't know. I don't know. And then Abyss was going to bash in Stevie's brains when Nash came out. And Nash, you see, is a lover of money. So he's going to try to collect the bounty at the pay-per-view in what is sure to be a shitty match. You know what's funny is the last pay-per-view, TNA... the folks in TNA were, not the people writing it, obviously, but there were many others in TNA that were like, this show's going to be horrible, because all the matches look terrible on paper. But the good news, they said, is next month the matches are looking good on paper. Aside from Daniels versus Joe, we've got ODB against Cody Deaner so far.
That's a thumbs up.
And Kevin Nash against Abyss.
A thumbs down.
These are terrible matches on paper.
And Angle in a random four-way with three other guys.
And one of whom is Matt Morgan.
One of whom is Matt Morgan. Maybe the only thing of Daniels and Joe. Maybe Daniels and Joe will get 40 minutes.
Then we had Daphne and Ayako Hamada, who does no longer have a first name like Daniels. Maybe our first name is Chris, actually. Maybe it's Chris Hamada. Which I guess is why Daniels can't be Daniels, because like WWE, you can't have two Chris's. We've already got Chris Parks. That's Abyss. So we can't have a Chris Daniels. Anyway, Hamada, the fucking daughter of Gran Hamada, the showcase match for her debut on Impact is with Daphne. Words cannot describe how bad Daphne is. God bless the woman. When we were down for the ROH in WrestleMania, there was a big party at the bar afterwards, and all the ROH folks were there. And I met Daphne briefly, and she was a real nice girl. So God bless her. But she is a tremendously bad wrestler.
She's in the wrong business.
Well, maybe, I don't know if it's that, or I don't know what it is. But she was real bad here, and Hamada managed to make this match, well, I don't know what she made it.
Better.
But the people loved it.
They were having a bad match, and Daphne, who has been wrestling, she was in WCW.
Well, that doesn't say much.
Well, it means she has been around this business for a decade. And she still, when she, runs the ropes, you see her have to think about every step, and she still puts it in the wrong spot. She's terribly clumsy. It was just bad, bad, bad. And she hit the worst Shining Wizard of all time. They kept going. It went through a commercial.
Yeah. And then we had the peak, the highlight, where she laid Daphne on a table, and Hamada climbed up to the top rope, and she did a moonsault off the post through a table on the outside. Somehow, on a taped show, that, by the way, was taped last week, if I recall correctly, they missed it.
Yeah.
Today I had to say, can we go to the truck and get a shot of this?
Yeah. Thankfully they did.
Vince, a woman is on a table. outside the ring. You're the director.
Okay.
Another woman climbs up onto the post, facing backwards towards the table.
Right.
What the fuck do you do?
I would do my best to capture both women. Failing that, I would be certain to capture the woman on the table.
Well, they captured the woman jumping backwards, and then there was a big crash.
Well, they followed her going up, but then a funny thing happened. She started to go down. This caught them off guard.
Gravity is
They thought she would take flight.
Well, gravity's a bitch. I heard that today, and it's true. So, anyway, they missed it, and they showed a replay, thank God, and Hamada won, and there you go.
The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." They were terribly, terribly wrong.
Well, actually, you know what? I can't fault the people because live it probably was pretty awesome. But you people clearly were not watching it on TV. It was very not awesome on TV.
They were chanting that, by the way, before the moonsault through the table.
Well, actually, no, it was afterwards.
Was it?
Yeah. And I might add that the job that Hamada did in making the people care and chant, "This is awesome" for this match, that was in fact awesome. So
that was a grand illusion, the likes of which David Blaine will never master.
I was in awe. It was awe-inspiring.
She fooled them into thinking this was awesome, whereas in fact it was a pile of shit.
No, it wasn't. There was some bad stuff in it, but it was an enjoyable little battle when all was said and done. Then we had the beautiful people beat up Madison after suggesting that they fucked their way into facing her in the tournament. That was something else. And
here is where they showed the brackets for this wacky girls tag team tournament. And first, this is where I noticed, hey, and don't ask me why I noticed this, because I only read like 3 teams, but this is where I noticed that Raisha Saeed and Melissa Flash could meet in the second round of this thing. I thought that was funny. Then I looked at the brackets and realized there are 8 teams. Even granted that Cheerleader Melissa is 2 of these women, that still means they have 15 girls in this roster. For a show that has 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
They don't need that many.
No, well, they had to use Charmel, for Christ's sake. So they don't have all, they have...
Okay, they have 14.
Well, I'd have to look at the brackets. I really was not paying that close of attention.
And unless Lauren's in there, she's another one.
Well, she may be.
Dixie Carter, 16.
We had, Joe and D'Angelo De Niro,
Just say Pope,
as Taz calls him. And funny, no one yells at Taz for his pronunciations, only me. Against Daniels and Suicide. And it was a fun little match. Suicide ended up pinning the Pope. That pissed me off.
That was...
Parody booking in TNA, alive and well.
I believe, I'm not certain, but I believe the Pope has wrestled 3 times and lost twice.
Well, what can you do? Borash interviewed Bobby Lashley and Dixie Carter. She announced a new 3-year deal with Spike. Lashley said he loved pro wrestling and MMA and wanted to do both.
He said, "I'm 100% committed to pro wrestling and 100% committed to doing MMA.
I thought my math was bad.
He is not 100% committed to math.
No.
He is 0% committed to math.
She said part of the deal was she was going to help promote fights for him.
This must happen. TNA must promote an MMA event. I cannot wait to see this.
Fuck that. Just promote his next fight on Shark Fight or whatever it's going to be. I just want to see TNA. I mean, seriously. First off, the idea of TNA promoting anything is laughable. And second, if they actually do a good job promoting one of his fights, they're doing a better job promoting a fight that is on another person's show than they do promoting their own fucking shows. Just, it's incredible no matter how you roll it. So, then she said their goal was to make him the biggest star in MMA. She can't possibly believe this. I mean, this is insanity. And
this woman, we have evidence to believe, is not too bright.
She said she couldn't wait to see him with the belt on both shoulders, a belt on both shoulders, and then announced his debut at the pay-per-view against Rhino, at which point Lashley said, "Really?"
Yes, this was news to him. Rinky-dink.
You know, I don't know. I talked about this for a while with Dave on the breaking news update, but they made such a big deal out of, like, Dixie Carter's first TV appearance in 7 years, and she's interviewing Bobby Lashley, and this was a giant sack of nothing.
Well, they did announce they had a new deal with Spike.
This was a hole, is what it was. It was a giant thing with nothing in it. A hole. It was just, Lashley showed nothing. I mean, less than nothing. He was stumbling over words. He couldn't finish his own sentences.
Yeah.
It was just, this was the worst showcase of two people I've seen in a long-ass time. This was worse than the Ayako Amada showcase against fucking Daphne.
It did no one any favors. Even Borash, who's usually a perfectly fine interviewer, came off as like lame. And then it ended, and then every TNA promo ever, they cut it off immediately as soon as the last important thing is said. This time they like chatted for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We'll
see you next time.
Then we had Booker T, Morgan, and Scott Steiner against Hernandez, AJ, and Sting. Booker has now added a goofy walk involving fake lats to the ring.
It's like he's leading with his lats.
It's like he does not care. It's almost like it makes it a better character. I enjoy this Booker T more than like an actual Booker T who cares, because I laugh along with him. So he comes out and they had a match, and the highlight of this was the commentary. We had Angle with the greatest line ever when they're talking about Lashley doing both pro wrestling and MMA at the same time. And Kurt fucking Angle says, and I quote, "You can't do that. It's impossible."
Awesome.
Just an amazing human being.
He has the biggest balls on earth, I'm pretty sure.
We also had the amazing line of Hernandez running wild, and Taz says, if Hernandez keeps doing stuff like this, he might be a main eventer someday. In the fucking main event of the Impact show.
True.
How do you do this? Or I guess Taz realizes that the main event of Impact is not really much of a main event.
Maybe he means a main eventer on SmackDown.
Could be.
I liked, early in the match, AJ was running the ropes, and his neck slipped, and this has happened to everyone at some point. You hit the ropes, and you hit them too low, and your head snaps back either in front of or behind the rope, and it sucks. Also, this happened last week, and they did not edit it out. But
you missed the other part of it.
Well, Taz tries to cover and says, well, they're sweaty. And, these guys have been out here for a long time. The ropes are slippery, and that kind of thing happens. And Kurt Angle said, AJ's just a clumsy punk.
You're missing the best part of it. It's not only the neck slipping, but it was the fact that AJ always has a spot where he does a leapfrog, a drop down, and a drop kick.
Right.
He does this in every match. Mm-hmm. But he always tries to mix it up. Like, he'll do a leapfrog, a drop down, but the guy will stop, and then the guy will run, and he'll do another drop down in the leapfrog.
Sure.
He always gets a spot in somehow. Of all the fucking people in this match, they chose Scott Steiner to do this high spot with him. So not only did he slip on the ropes, but he had Scott Steiner running around like a complete oaf, and he made the whole thing look even worse. That was the magic of this whole thing.
It was not the best moment for either man.
So Hernandez ended up, Morgan went for the elevator on him, as if, and Steiner hit the ring with a chair. Morgan told him to scram. Hernandez threw Morgan into Steiner, allowing AJ to hit a high cross on Morgan for the pin. So Kurt once again said, example of inexperience by Morgan. So Steiner and Booker yelled at Matt afterwards until he flipped his lid and clotheslined them both, and they all bailed. And like I said, they are trying to make new stars. Of all the guys on this show, Matt Morgan is big. I guess you got that going for him. But of all these guys on the show, that's not who I would choose. But I really don't care all that much. As long as they're trying with somebody.
And they're not trying nearly as hard, but they're trying something with Hernandez. He's feuding the World Elite, which I don't know, what's that worth?
Nothing.
But they're trying something. And he did, at one point in the match, grab Matt Morgan, the 7-footer, and hit a delayed vertical suplex. So he is strong.
He is a freaky strong man. I got to give the guy that.
That's
so
undoubtedly true.
There you go.